All right, good morning, everyone. Hopefully everybody fixed their clocks too. Daylight savings has already messed me up for a few things this morning, but good morning, Monday the 10th, and I got a good group here. We got Ray and Trade Better 99. Morning, fellas.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, so if anyone hasn't also, please go check out my channel. Ray's interview is live, so go check that out. And yeah, so hold on. Sorry, I was trying to go live on Instagram. Oh well, messed that up today. But yeah, so today's topic is going to be kind of about small businesses, relationships, and the economy's kind of heading down a certain path right now. We're looking at everyone's talking about a recession, or if we've been in a recession, but the numbers are looking more likely that they'll probably say we are in an actual official recession soon. But someone like Ray, who's been in the business or small business for a long time, I mean, what's your view, or what kind of struggles have you gone through? Or what advice can you give people in this kind of turmoil we're in right now?
Yeah, obviously with my clients being in the real estate space, we're heavily impacted, right, by what's going on with interest rates. A lot of my clients tend to be real estate agents, and all of them have slowed down, which in turn kind of affects my business. Um, the good thing is, for someone like me, I've been in business for over a decade, and you have to just make sure you adapt, and you work with the people that you have, and you do the best you can for them, because if they succeed, you succeed.
That's a great way to say it because, yeah, this was a topic that I was very interested in about when Mark said that you were going to be on Ray because you've been in it over a decade. This is not your first potential recession as well. And I'm actually someone who works at W-2, but thinking about getting a franchise or a business in the next year or so. And of course, it seems like the perfect time when things are on the downturn. And I was just interested what you thought about when you first got started. And I know you're meeting you in Vegas, it was like you hustle. So it was just seeing everything. What was that like when you first started off?
Yeah, I for me, when I first started, I had to transition, right? Like, I don't think a lot of businesses who just get started can just cold turkey quit their 9 to 5. You know,
Right.
for me, there was a transition period where I had my day job. I was in sales, and I slowly transitioned from full time, and then I went to part time, and then once I felt like my business finally, started compensating for the other half of the income that I was missing out on, I then felt comfortable after I had enough nest egg to leave my job and go full time. So definitely it's not. I think everybody has their comfort level. I've heard business owners just cold turkey quitting. I wouldn't suggest it. You know what I'm
Definitely
saying?
not. Yeah.
I think maybe show proof of concept. Make sure it's something that you really want to commit to. um, you know, with me, entrepreneurship was kind of like all or nothing. I
Mm.
definitely put all my heart into it, and when I do put something like when I do believe in something like that, um, there's no such thing as like failing, right? Like, all we can do is fail forward, learn from our mistakes, and just keep going. And that's what you have to be like in order to be successful in entrepreneurship.
Awesome.
We got
Yeah.
morning to Flavio, Val, and Andy. I know Val and Andy have been already checking out the video posted this morning. I know Andy commented on it, so thanks for stopping by. And I know Val said he was listening. He thought it was a live, so he's like, "Damn, I missed the live." And I said, "Oh no, that was a recording." We got emotional, me and Ray. So go check it out. But would you say there's a difference with like networking versus relationship building? Is there kind of a definition you would say that's a little bit different there?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Was that for
Oh, no.
Harrison or is that for me?
Either of you. How about Harrison? What's your thoughts on that?
Sure. Yeah, that was. I've actually been very bad at networking. It's one of those where when I'm working with someone, working with coworkers, or start joining a new business, I know you're always supposed to be networking or, having, I almost feel like networking is almost like a surface level of something. And for me, I'm always a relationship builder. I always want to be that person that, my coworkers or whoever I work with is like, hey, I'm a trustworthy guy. Hey, I want someone to kind of spitball ideas off of without having bad, someone thinking poorly of me. And so I've always leaned into, like, when I'm meeting someone, I'm doing a relationship build. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it differently, but it's just, I always felt like networking was always kind of the, oh, we're, MySpace friends or something like that. We're not really going to be, talking to each other much, but I don't know. That's just kind of where I went.
Yeah, I'll kind of pitch in on that one. For me, networking is something I'm definitely good at, right? It hasn't always been something that I was very good at, but I think as we kind of go through life, we get our wisdom, right? And that wisdom and experiences give us a lot better conversations, right? Like you were saying, when I first started networking, it was a lot of surface level things, right? Now that I'm, older, I purchased homes or I've just had just life experience in general, it's a lot easier to have much more deeper conversations with somebody. And that's what I do when I network, right? I really try to understand what's that person about. It's not really like, hey, how can I pitch my business or whatever. It's really like, hey, what are you about? Like, and let me hear your story. And then from there, natural conversations happen. You know what I'm saying? And those
Yeah.
natural conversations is what gets deeper than that surface level conversation than what you're talking about. And that's when genuine relationships are formed, and that's where I truly shine, right?
Ah,
I'll say morning to late start wealth. Lindsay, who had a great interview with Frank on Frank's channel.
yeah.
After she rejected me because she was doing Frank's channel at that day. But Andy said great video, Mark and Ray, and also with Harrison and Jack. Harrison and Jack just came out with a video also on Trade Better's channel. So go subscribe to Harrison's channel. It's up earlier in the chat. I'll put it back in. But yeah, networking, relationship building, I think that's the funny thing that probably people struggle with most, I would say. I mean, it's that building relationships and feeling awkward and getting out of your comfort zone. And yes, Lindsay, I said you chose Frank's channel over mine. Um, but I think that's the one thing that even the community, right, is helpful in that. Um, it's kind of a safe place to start in a sense, right? It's a great way to get your feet wet, and then you kind of build a foundation from there and start working and growing. And I think like even like I talked about it before, like Curtis and Jack, right? They have kind of a, I wouldn't say speech problems or speech troubles that they've voiced or admitted to, but that's kind of why I told them come on my channel to get comfortable and practice and kind of work out how are you going to turn it into a strength in some ways. And they've both admitted that now they're figuring out how to use that as a strength. And like Curtis says, he has to prepare better, right? Because he knows that he has some speech difficulties, but he uses that to prepare himself better and be able to communicate better. So do you guys have any other struggles with trying to network or maybe in relationship building? Like what I know, Ray, we talked about it in the video, like trust issues in a sense, right? But Harrison, for you, is there anything else that sticks out for you in your mind that is a struggle?
Yeah, I guess the struggle for me is, yeah, when it comes into networking, and Ray hit it right on the head, was that it's trying to get that initial contact going because um, living on the East Coast, it's like sometimes you have to be a lot more defensive. Sometimes people are like, hey, you go in right away and they're thinking, what can you do for me? What can, you're like, that's not how, I don't know, maybe that's how it works. And I'm just having to learn more about it. But yeah, I've been to other conferences and everything, and you're kind of sitting down. And it's like, hey, I want to learn more, and they're like, but do you have money? Oh, can you purchase our product? Buy this, buy that. You're like, I get it, you need quotas, but I also this didn't feel right away. So I think that's something where I can sense it right away, and that's where I struggle. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a real relationship.
Yes. I'll tell you this, Harrison. Like, you might not know this about me, but I was in sales most of my life before I even became an entrepreneur, right? So I definitely was kind of like jaded because, I was that guy that was trying to get those high commission sales and trying to hit those quotas. And, that atmosphere is just like, wasn't something I was really happy with when I ended up
Mhm.
leaving. And I kind of took that with me, right? Because if you ever met any guy that's trying to sell you something that's high pressure sales, it's like this sleazy car salesman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll tell you what, like, I've always been different in my sales approach, right? For me, I was always the guy like, I don't care if you buy anything. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like, and people could sense that, right? It was really more about, what's your problem? And let me see if I have a solution for it. Right.
right,
And when people saw me come at it with that approach, they were almost confused. You know what I
right,
mean? They're
right,
like,
exactly,
and that's what I feel like, really a real salesman, they're really just listening. That's a real salesman. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Because I mean, no, I agree with that. Because even more from that point is that, when you go in with that approach, it's like, hey, I don't care if you buy something from me, but it even goes more to the point of, hey, there's someone I know outside of where I would get commissions or something that might help you even more. It's like, or in this situation like that, and then all of a sudden, there you go. That's how you build that kind of sales relationship with it. I'm like, okay, now I feel this way, or because that's the salespeople I've worked with. It's like, okay, or even with my realtor, sometimes it's like, hey, I won't benefit from this, but how about you go with this person? They'll help you out here. That's where I really feel that I could work with people like that. But I also that's something that I've had to learn. So working with other people.
I want to say morning to Frank, old guy REI. He says aloha from lovely Watsonville, California. He says have some superstar. Oh, he had to make a special superstar guests on today. He didn't say superstars on today. He said guests, so he didn't include me. But what's up, Frank? Thanks for stopping by. And then we have Joel Farrell here, Stranger, Strive for
Oh
25's
man.
on. So if anyone hasn't, go check out his podcast. Doing a lot of cool stuff on social media
Yeah.
right now. Stair step method out there, how to build wealth, kind of doing it the kind of one primary residence at a time, almost a blueprint, kind of a one rental at a time, but also you get a primary residence, down payment, build up for the next one, move out, rent. Yeah, but go
Yeah.
check him out. Yeah. So Ray, we talked and our interview, and it for me, my kind of impression is you've won everywhere you've gone in a sense, right? Like you've succeeded at everything you've done. Has it been easy for you? I mean, have you had any failures or kind of can you talk about maybe some mistakes or struggles you've had?
yeah. A lot of people, from the outside looking, from the outside, they could see that, right? But for me, just like everybody else, we have a story, right? For me, I was adopted, and I was actually not in a good relationship with my adopted family. So I was actually homeless when like starting at 17. Okay, so for me, my struggles really started early on, and I was really more an independent. And from there, I had to take care of myself. So definitely, I think I come from a background where it's like, hey, I'm self-reliant and it's only me. And with that kind of struggle, you get a sense of independence. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think I'm so distant from other people. But as I've evolved, as a human being, and you've built relationship, um, you know, different motivations start happening. Before it was all about, hey, how can I stay above water, right? How can I make sure I got food on the table and I got a roof over my head? But once you actually are above that and you start looking around you and you're like, hey, what's really the meaning of what I'm doing here? And that's when you really start to figure out different types of motivation. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's when I realized, hey, I started using the proper motivation, like, hey, I want to do this because it's helping people, because it's rewarding to me, versus like, hey, I'm going to get what I need to get and I'm going to sell what I need to sell to survive. You know what I'm saying? So definitely I've had my struggles, but yeah, I think everybody has those kind of stories. I don't think mine's anything special.
But
So,
you grew
so
from
Har-
it.
oh, okay.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, go Harrison, go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, but you've it's helped you become very self-aware, which a lot of people don't have that. Even like in their 40s and 50s, they've never had that realization. So almost it's like, does it sound like a superpower? Almost, it's like it's a. I know you talk about that on school every now and then. It's like, what is your surprise superpower? So, and I know, yeah, like meeting you right away in person, I was like, wow, it's like you have that aura about you. It's like, I'm good. I know who I am, and yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, right? When you're in a position where there's no one that's got your back except yourself, it's really hard to be scared. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like for me, I was like living out of my car. So like when I went into entrepreneurship, and I remember my manager telling me, Ray, if you go part time, you're not gonna be able to go back, right? Like this is a commitment. And I was like, okay, right? Because
right,
I've lived out of my car. Like, what I'm saying? It doesn't matter to me. I go back in there. You know what I'm saying? So for me, my fear tolerance, I guess, was a lot higher than most, just because of my experiences early on. You know what I'm saying?
right, yeah,
We got Late Start Wealth says the product should sell itself, but only after a relationship has been at least started. Yeah.
right.
So Harrison, I think you mentioned something earlier of you thinking of starting a business or something a
Yeah,
little more
so
serious.
it's interesting. With the baby here and everything, and just seeing on how the future of what work could look like with AI. I'm very arm deep into it, seeing the potential of what it can do. Uh, I mean, what's a few years out, and then I mean, will I have to change careers? What will I have to do? I mean, I've learned to be very adaptable and think five steps ahead. And that was the real benefit of talking to Bo Eckstein. We were actually the first ones that got kicked out in the conference. And so Bo Eckstein and I sat down and talked, and then we're actually going to talk again about potential franchises to look at, or maybe where I need to start, because um, told me right away is like, sales isn't your thing, dude. It's, you need to find something that might be a little bit more attainable for you. And I'm like, that's fine. But
That's
so
what
yeah,
that's what he wait. That's what he told you based on your guys' short conversation, or
well,
just
yeah, so we had a really good conversation. He says, at least because I work in more analytics, everything. So at least I'm a little bit more extroverted, so I can talk to people and everything. But like when I used to work in pre-sales early on, and I would get hives having to talk to customers and everything. So, um, but I mean, it's one of those where I'm never afraid to talk to people. I love solving problems and fixing questions. But the moment that you're like, hey, there's, you gotta sign this check here or something like that, that's where like that disconnect comes into me and I get the palpitations. But Bo said that there's other ways that I could work within that system. There's ways that you could have a small business. And so he's going to help me out through that. And so we're just going through the motions right now. And he actually has a whole questionnaire and everything, like what your temperament is, what kind of business you would work in, what you don't do. So that's where I'm like, okay, this is something that I want to do. And especially, yeah, with, you know, like Ray said, it's like I would probably do this on the side, start first, not burn the boats, like keep my W-2, and then, you know, whether like years from now transition out, or if there's layoffs or something, like have something kind of to fall back on. And that's where I've been going on with this way.
interesting. All right, all right. Will keep us posted on
Yeah.
where you're headed. And so, like for you, Ray, photography and things like that. Was that a passion for you, or like how did you go down that route?
Yeah. So for me, I'm kind of like tried a lot of businesses, right? I think a lot of entrepreneurs, if you ask them, their first business wasn't what really got successful, you know? So I'll tell you, like my first business, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was at my sales job, but I didn't quite know what it was going to be, right? I remember I said, hey, I want to try something. So the first thing I did was I reached out to somebody that kind of was doing what I thought I wanted to do. And I remember I reached out to a guy who had like a hot dog cart because I said, maybe I want to have like a restaurant. I'm Filipino, it'd be kind of cool to have like a small mom and pop restaurant, but I don't know how to operate one. So my thing is, I always reach out to people who are currently doing it and try to ask for advice. That was always just a natural thing for me to do, right? And long behold, of course, hot dogs didn't work out, but I ended up meeting this really amazing guy, and his name is Jay Gallinati. If you look him up, he was like a Stanford graduate. It was one of the craziest things I've ever met. Like this person that I met, and really kind of showed me the possibilities in business and you generating your own business. Right? It's funny because I was in sales, right? So I knew how to sell people, but it was weird doing it from a standpoint of like you were doing it for yourself and not for a company, right? And Jay really kind of taught me that. And I just kind of said, okay, you know what? Hot dogs wasn't my thing. So I was like, what is my thing? At that time, I still got my degree in graphic technologies. So I still went to college, even though I was all having all the issues that I was having. And so long story short, I said, hey, you know what? I have a degree in graphic technologies. Maybe I could use that. So I actually started shooting nightclubs. I started from shooting nightclubs. I had buddies from that I graduated with. It was like, hey, why don't you shoot here? Why don't you shoot this? And then all of a sudden it led to weddings. And then boom, it just kind of snowballed. I was started traveling, doing destination weddings, using my coworkers as like a catapult to kind of start my business. And yeah, long story short, it was just I realized my passion after I started getting into it.
I like that. I don't
That's
know if you guys follow what's his name, Prop G or Prof Galloway. Is it Scott Galloway? Anyways, but he's the one that talks about how most people that tell you to follow your passion have already made it. Like they're rich and they're telling you to follow your passion. He's like, most people, the best advice is to find something you're good at and find something you can make money at. And that may become your passion, right? No, like there's a lot of people that make a lot of money, probably cleaning septic tanks or something, right? I'm sure that's not their passion, but they probably make a lot of money doing it, right? And
right.
now it's somewhat become a passion for them because they're probably good at this field, right? So a lot of times, people are telling people out there to follow your passion, and they've already succeeded in life and they already have a lot of money. But for a lot of people, it's more about just find what you're good at, find what you can get a job in, and find what you can make a lot of money in, and then if you want, you can figure out what your passion is later. But let's make that money first. And it kind of sounds like what happened to you, Ray, right? You fell down this path and now you're great at what you do. And it seems like you love photography, and now you're scaling to like shooting Airbnbs and short-term rentals and kind of bringing that and real estate together in a sense, right?
Yes, and I could tell you this, like for me, it's weird, right? Since I've been doing this for such a long time, I feel like all of us, we have chapters in our life, right? And my wedding side was like a big chapter because for me, like I found connections with the people I was capturing during their wedding, the most beautiful day of their lives with all their family. I kind of attached to that and I gravitated towards it because I didn't really have it, right? And and that kind of synchronized with my love for it. And as I, built my family and built my relationships, right? I started getting into real estate and the investing side, and I'm seeing a different chapter in my business and in my life personally that I'm just going towards. And as you know, if you ever are around anybody that's passionate, they kind of just go with the wind, right? Like for me, if something is feels like a page is turning, oh, I'm gonna turn the page even quicker and just and figure it out, right? So that's just kind of how I roll.
Well, Frank has a question for you. He says, Ray, you mentioned having struggles early on. I did as well. Do you think that has raised issues for you in adult relationships, maybe even marriage? It has for me.
Oh, for sure. Like, being a very independent person, you have a way that you move right through the world, and sometimes I don't have the most compassion, right, and I'm not the most understanding. When I have friends and family that come to me is like, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm thinking about doing that, I really don't like to hear excuses. And sometimes I have to remember that not everybody's walked that same path as me, and it's unfair to think that they're going to maneuver through life the same way that I do, right? And I think that is the lack of sympathy is something I definitely have issues with. And yeah, I think I'm too gung ho about things, and I expect everybody to be that way.
What about you, Harrison? Has any struggles or, affected you
Yeah,
in adult relationships, you think?
sure. I mean, it's I guess two things. It was like when I was younger, I had a learning disability that no one really understood, and then figured out I had dyslexia mixed with dysgraphia, which means that I can't write usually what I think in my head. And it's kind of the opposite, where I was in a lot of, I guess, special ed classes that I was like, oh, all the teachers were like, you don't need to be here. You know how to talk to us, but it's like, but it was my writing that was terrible. And but I saw a lot of kids that were kind of, quote unquote, left for dead or left for just, being part of the system later on. I was like, but you could see for me, I saw their potentials and everything. So I was like, hey, let's all go together. So I was actually probably the opposite. I was like a little over inclusive because I could see potential, and some people didn't want to come, some people did. And it's been great because I've had some friends graduate college, other people find new passions in their life, which is really exciting. And then so I mean, for me, so it's like if I see someone with potential, I kind of maybe focus a little too much on them, like helping them out with that. And then also, yeah, going through cancer a few years ago, that's the other thing. It's like I was like, well, let's burn the boats and figure out, yeah, worst thing I could do is die. And so it's also made me a lot more compassionate to other people. It's like, you know what, you do you, I'll help you out, figure it out. But you know, I feel like that's something that probably is where I'm going towards, of like, I just want to help people. I want to kind of leave something behind that, maybe people might remember me for one day. So
Yeah, well, you're doing cool stuff out there, man. And Frank does say, I was super lucky to find a great spouse and partner in Cynthia. Together, we're
mm.
working out all the kinks and have been successful in our real estate journey together. So I have a feeling Cynthia is somewhere in the comments for Frank to put that out there. But yeah, Cynthia is great. So I think they form a great team, and they're a big part of the community. And we missed them at the Vegas event, but hopefully they'll be able to get there next year. And John Morris, Late Star Wealth, he did. Yes, I was waiting for the final part of his comment, but he said, best advice I've heard on having a restaurant is if you want to make a small fortune having a restaurant is to start with a large one. That's what.
That kind of reminds me of like Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "Is like the first million's the hardest, so start
Mm.
with the second."
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah, I definitely think, relationships are tough, man. I'm no expert. I'm definitely, I'm in that Ray camp also too, where maybe unemotional in a way and, hard to, yeah, I think it's just a male and female thing, right? We think differently, and it's sometimes we're just trying to figure out situations, and they want to be heard, and there's more discussion there. And yeah, so definitely don't take my advice on any of this. You'll end up like me. But yeah, let's see what else we can talk about. Business. I don't know, Ray. What would be your, now that you've succeeded in some to some extent. What would be your blueprint now? Like to if someone came to you, 25-year-old saying, "Hey, I wanna start a business. How can I get started?"
I've been fortunate enough. I actually work with Pierce County, and I've gotten a chance to coach a lot of businesses, right?
Nice.
And a lot of people in the creative field specifically. And I had struggled at the beginning, really trying. It was a bit of information overload that I was trying to give these businesses, right? Oh, how do you market? How do you make money, right? My biggest thing was really, I think a lot of us get confused, right? And we look at the whole idea of a business and it's such a huge undertaking, right? For me, I'll tell you this, okay? And I always kind of relate this to the stories of the people I was coaching. When I was homeless at the time, one of the things that I kind of was overwhelmed by was like, hey, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I need to get this stuff done. And the overall emotion was just overwhelming, right? But once I, got over it, the first thing I did was like, what's the first thing I got to get done? You know what I'm saying? And once I started tunnel visioning, I really started tackling the objects that were in front of me. And what the one thing I would suggest anybody who's wanting to start a business is write some goals down and prioritize those goals and then spearhead them in tunnel vision. And then what you'll realize when you pick your head up like a year later of how much you've accomplished. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be my biggest advice is try to get those goals and just start tackling them one at a time.
Ooh, so what kind of goals are you talking about? Are you talking about sales goals, or is it location, or speaking to a certain amount of people? What would
I
you say is the first step?
Okay. So, for example, like for you, right? You want to get started on your business. Well, you got web design, you got your LLC, you got to get clients, you got to do all this, right? What you need
Right.
to do is you first need to write all of those on a piece of paper, right? And then you need to figure out which one you need to put in priority. And then after you do that, don't worry about any other goals. Just focus on the one that's on the top of the list. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it.
Nice. I like it.
So I think that's to that point. That's why some people they don't understand. I mean, not trying to make this a political thing or whatnot, but no, but when people talk about blue cities, blue states, or red states, and how some are easier to maneuver in, right? And a lot of times, blue states is probably a lot more difficult to build homes, start a business, whatnot. There's just way more things or processes you have to go through. So when people are talking about, I just want to be left free in a sense, and I want to be able to do what I want to do. And yes, we want rules and regulations and policies, but the least amount is what I want. Make it as easy as possible because starting a business is already hard enough as it is, right? Like right now, like I wouldn't know where to start. I still got to come up with an idea. Now you want to put all these other things that I have to do to get started, right? So I think that's what most people want out there, right? Just give me a fighting chance because most businesses do fail, right? Small businesses in a sense. So it's kind of give me a fighting chance. Make it as easy as possible for me to get started as many times as I need to, right? And I think hopefully that's it seems like that's what Trump is pushing for in a sense, right? Allowing people to kind of have as much leeway or maneuverable capabilities
Mm.
out there to do things, yeah, that they want to do. And maybe you don't want to start a business, but for those that do, give me a fighting chance in a sense, right? So like Ray, was there ever a point in time where you were just ready to be a W-2 employee? Like, would you think you were just like, "Ah, screw this. I can't make it. I'm gonna just be a regular 9 to 5."
If any business owner tells you that they didn't have second thoughts, that they didn't think that, oh my God, this is a struggle, that's complete BS, right? All of us like the comfort of, hey, I got a W-2. I just want to work, like, what I'm saying, to be a real successful entrepreneur. Everybody knows, like, you really got to put way more time in than what you would be putting in a W-2. That's just the reality. And I just want to hit this point, you know, when you find something that you're passionate about, you'll teach yourself. You won't have other people teaching you. That is a big key thing that people that's something that you need to think about. Because if you ever want to know if you're passionate, if you're teaching yourself, you're Googling it, you're doing it, more often than not, you probably like looking it up. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Joel Strifer 25 says red was the first primary color, blue was the third. But Late Start Wealth says, but if it's harder to start a business, then less people would try, so less competition. So that is true, and that's good for big businesses, probably, right? So you're getting rid of these small mom and pops that want to start up, so you're having less competition out there, and that's kind of what we saw during lockdowns and shutdowns and everything, right? Smaller businesses were having a harder time flourishing or keeping their doors open, right? But the Targets and Walmarts and all these big box stores are able to probably win, right, in those times, right? So yeah, I mean, I think you just want more. I think we want more competition as a consumer. You want more competition, competitive prices, and just more opportunity out there, right? And let's see what
Yeah.
do you guys follow basketball? This is off topic though, but I
Yeah.
know Joe's here. Do you follow basketball, Ray? So
I generally just watch every now and then. I see Steph Curry just making nonstop threes.
oh, well,
That's
that's
about it.
Joe. That's Joe's guy. So you can. I can't remember the post. This is sorry, fellas. This is off topic, but since Joe's here, but I saw there was like, okay, if Steph Curry had Gary Payton's defense,
Ooh.
if Derrick Rose had LeBron's longevity, if James Harden had oh shoot, no, if Russell Westbrook had James Harden's 3-point shooting capability, if there was like two other, but
Okay.
who would have been the best? Who would have had the best career out of
Mm.
those guys? Who else was in there? I forget. That's the only three I can think of. There's like two other point guards. Like if they so and so had this, but I don't know, man. D Rose, if he just lasted, man, he would have been.
Zero.
He would have been. But I don't
Yeah.
know. Curry has what, 5 rings or whatever without defense in a sense. So I don't know.
Yeah. You just need
Yeah.
your defensive player that makes up for it. So he's got Draymond Green, who will just tear the floor up. I mean, and that's why MJ did great. I mean, Ron Harper, because they had Dennis
Yeah.
Rodman. I mean, you need someone that knows their role that will help out in those times of need.
Yeah, I don't know, but Curry might go down as the greatest if he added that to his skill
Yeah.
set. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
especially with Gary Payton or something like that. That with
Yeah,
that kind of defense. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, but I don't know if Joe's still here. I'm sure he's gonna say Curry no matter what. Let's see what else we got. So
But
Harrison.
yeah, no.
Oh no, go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, no. So I was gonna talk about that the idea of big business for small business, and this is also why I'm looking at small business now. Is that I think with the way that the recession's going, the way that AI is working, I think it's going to shrink businesses, and so all of a sudden, I think there's going to be a huge push for mom and pops, and I think this is all just kind of early data coming in right now, but because you can do so much more with less, I think large companies are trying to figure out how they can really constrict what their cash outs or how much they're spending. And I think right now this is almost the perfect time for startups if people have really good ideas and if they're looking for ways to help be part of the local communities, because that's something that large companies always have issues with initially. I think there's something that a lot of people can take advantage of during this time. And so that's why I'm hopping into this. It's like I think there's needs out there, and I'm just looking at what can best fit my personality. So sorry about that, but yeah.
No, no, no. Oh, okay. Katie messaged me. Yeah, Katie, I'll message you. Yeah, definitely agree with you. It's just difficult to pull something like that off. she wants me to try to have an all female one on. Well,
Ooh,
including me though. But
ooh.
it's hard. I'll be honest. It's hard to get females on here. It's much more easier to get guys that are willing to look stupid on here than it is to get females. So, but yeah, Katie, we'll talk about it. Uh, but let's see what else we got. I was gonna mention. Shoots, I forget. Anything else? Oh, I was gonna say, Harrison. I know if there's nothing else you guys want to talk about, like the
Yeah.
business side or add into that. I know you. I mentioned a few times now. You're pivoting. You're looking at the Pittsburgh real estate market, and how's that going for you?
Yeah. So thank you so much for the contacts and everything. But yeah, I released a video with Jack from Jack's Business Talk because um I have family in the Pittsburgh area. I didn't know it as well, and so I'm in that 90 days of, you know, build the buy box, see what things look like, and right now there's a few properties that have piqued my interest, and I mean, it's one of those that I feel a lot better about this market because it's a much more uh, business diverse market compared to where I am in Ohio, where there's a lot of large players that kind of own the area. So, and also with Lance Lambert coming out with the latest report, my market Akron is it's moved the least. It actually still has the least amount of inventory in the country available. So people are, I'm losing to people that just want to flip houses right now, and it's infuriating. So now that I see like there's much more plays I can do in Pittsburgh, it's been a lot more relieving for me. So I could see myself making an offer in the next month or so if everything looks good. So and I mean it's one of those things. It's like playing to the businesses that I know. I know medical. I know what people are doing. I know how they can think. And so if I can tap into that area, tap into the clientele that or the employees that go there, that's where I'm looking at. So
Yeah, so you pivoted. Lars has pivoted, and it seems like you, Lars, even Mikey,
yeah,
all got some. There's some things coming across your plate that you guys are all looking at possibly making offers on. Even I've seen a few. Got a couple other friends I know looking in that market. There's Brian, who's up. So Brian is working on a fourplex. But
nice.
I forgot his. I forgot what he mentioned in one of Dion's lives. He commented something about. I think his quadplex wasn't zoned for that,
Ooh,
but I forget. It's. I think it's common though in Pennsylvania. So
yeah.
you just got to kind of write a note from. I don't know. I don't know what the process was, but it sounds like it's kind of a common thing. So there's just a few steps that he has to do to try to get signed and whatnot. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the issue he ran into right now. But yeah, he just jumped into the Pittsburgh market. Also, he's working with Jeremy. But yeah, so we're doing a lot of cool things in Pittsburgh. So if anyone else wants to piggyback off of that, reach out to me, Harrison, Mikey. Mikey's the guy to connect. Mikey's the technician. I
Yeah.
always tell. Mikey runs his numbers uh, very precisely. So go hit up Mikey. But Ray, I know you're going to be flying out somewhere soon too, right? And what are you going to be working on there?
Yeah, I'm just getting everything finalized for my property in the Grand Rapids area, and that renovation, is finally finished, and I just got to go take photos and get it up there, and hopefully we can run it as a short-term rental or slash midterm, like, and start really proving itself. Right? We spent all this money renovating, getting it done. Now I want some cash.
Nice. So, would you say that this is a precursor to maybe getting more in the Grand Rapids
Uh,
area?
You know, for me, I had a really special deal, probably like one of
Right.
those deals that only comes once a lifetime or whatever. So for me, I think all depends. If it's really successful, that market's a lot cheaper than the Washington market for sure. So I'd be down, but I just want to make sure that the numbers that I calculated really start performing the way that I'm thinking.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Hi, Jen. Thanks for stopping by. I did put a question out there. Did daylight savings mess anyone else up this weekend or
Oh,
today? Yeah, I missed the accountability call this morning because I thought it was going to be at 4 o'clock. It was at 3 o'clock, but oh well.
yeah. For me, it was the feeding schedule. I was like, oh,
Uh,
it's not 3 a.m. It's 4 a.m. So that's that's been fun.
Can I ask you a question, Harrison? Like, so
Sure.
is the Pittsburgh market, is that somewhere you're moving, or are you investing out of state? Like, what's the situation with that?
Yeah, sure. So I live in Virginia, and I invest in Ohio out of state, and then yeah, Pittsburgh would be out of state investing as well. But
Oh,
the great thing about Pittsburgh is that if once again, worst case scenario, if something happens in Virginia, I can easily rent this house out, or I'm planning on turning it into a duplex, move out to Pittsburgh and get a job there. So I mean, it's one of those where it's and then house hack. So
nice.
there's a lot of really there was a lot of really good potential within the Pittsburgh area, and since I have family out there already, and it's like okay, this is kind of a no brainer. But
Nice.
Jen said she was 30 minutes late dropping off her kids. Uh, yeah. See, you guys have it. Well, for me, I gotta figure out everyone's time zone every time I'm trying to message. So that's why I always say Eastern because I just keep it as
yeah.
simple as possible, and then you guys figure it out. So I'll just say whatever 11 Eastern, and then you figure out what time zone that is for you. But if I just keep it simple for me, then I don't get messed up. Oh, what part of Virginia, Val? Big Val is asking.
Oh, Central Virginia. Yeah, I've lived up and down, so like outside of Richmond, and I've also lived up in Northern Virginia. So
So Val's in the North Carolina area.
North Carolina,
Nor
nice.
Val, clarify me. Greensboro? No.
Oh, Greensboro.
Port,
Oh,
Port,
yeah,
Port-
that's
I
right.
think. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I could be wrong.
That's where his properties are. So yeah, he's like less than maybe 2 hours away from me in that spot.
Yeah. But Val's on my bad side right now because
I know.
same thing like Lindsay. He did Frank's channel before mine. And then I invited Val on the live on Saturday with us, Ray, and he was going to be my surprise guest, and he didn't. He was shoveling manure instead, so he couldn't come on. But I'm waiting for Val's comment. He's gonna comment. He's gonna probably put "You're relentless, man." But Ray knows that because Ray ended up in Vegas this year. Yeah, Ray.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. I had a lot of fun. You know,
Yeah.
the ORAC community is legit. Ray verified, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gotta check
I'm
him.
waiting to see year two though. If Jason C actually lets loose. I
Oh,
think I think year one he was a little reserved, but he did stay out till 5 in the morning. He said he blamed Ray. Remember?
Yeah, yeah, dude. Like, there was a one point he was with us, and then I looked away, and he disappeared. And then I called him, and he was like, "I don't know where I'm at." I was like, "Look for a landmark, bro." He's like, "No, I think I can make it home." I was like, "Oh God." And then we didn't see him until like 11 the next day. We
I know that was when I walked into the event and Cody's like, "Have you seen Jason? He he wasn't downstairs for the Uber. He goes, he's not answering his phone." I was like, well, he did send this cryptic message in the WhatsApp at like 4 in the morning. Yeah, he quickly deleted that from the
yeah.
WhatsApp thread. But we do have like there's like random photos of his shoes, like walking, and pictures of the ground, and yeah, he's like, I don't know. He goes, all I know is I got some Tic Tacs at a Gatorade at like 5 in the morning. He goes, I have a receipt for that. But yeah, it was a good time, man.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyone on the fence, I recommend doing it. Even if you did it year one and didn't feel like doing it this year, yeah, we're getting ready. We're trying to make plans and trying to make it a family trip outside. So
yeah, I think Ray's trying to get his wife there next year, right? That's the plan.
yeah.
nice.
No, I think she's totally be down. You know, I think this year she just had her master's, so it's a little bit difficult to kind of make that fit in. But she definitely wanted to come.
Yeah, I think, I still think there's a lot of people that are hoping it's at a new venue. Like they're still hoping that it's not in Vegas. And I'm definitely trying to kind of tell those people or convince them that, I mean, I get it, it is at the same place, but that's kind of also, I think, now that I look at it again, that's kind of what makes it fun in a sense,
Yeah.
where you're not trying to figure other things out in a sense, right? Like you have kind of a game plan going in, so you're not really wasting time, and you're just a lot of it is just having fun and networking, and we're not trying to figure out like, okay, what are we gonna do and this, and so I think that was the good part about it. Jen says, hope to meet all the wives. We will do a session in that interview room, whether we're invited or not. See, Jen is always
Yep.
making trouble. And I told Jen and John already that the frugal gay was not happy about no one knowing who he was when he was checking in. So I still haven't notified Zuber about that. But the frugal gay, I think, was a little hurt that when he went to show up, you guys had no idea who he was. And I think that was his thing, is maybe Zuber can do a better job of maybe the guests or the speakers have a special name tag or something, so that because I think Tom would have loved to speak to, so he was supposed to speak on Saturday.
Right.
He ended up getting moved to Sunday, so basically he was free Saturday, and maybe people didn't know who he was, and he was just sitting there kind of, and of course he was listening to the speakers, but people had all this opportunity to talk to him, and I think he was willing to talk to people, but just no one knew who he was, right? So I mean, I was talking to, because I knew him from before, so I was talking to him Saturday and everything. But I think, people missed out on an opportunity because a lot of
Yeah.
people probably didn't know who he was or that he was there to speak. So, and then like he said, oh, after I got my belt, everyone wanted to talk to me, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing maybe I can mention to Zuber is somehow, um, you know, the speakers have some sort of badge or name tag, or like I said, even like I think someone even mentioned like maybe as you walk in, instead of a notebook, because maybe a notebook's going to be hard,
Yeah.
to give to every, like a big board with all the presenters and like a QR code, and you can
Yeah.
scan the QR code and bring up everyone's bio and their profile and their handles and things like that. So I think that might be something good and helpful to have all the speakers on there. Oh, Lynn's asking, are you guys going to any other real estate conferences this year?
I'll let you guys go first.
Uh, as of now, no, but I know there's talks about an East Coast meetup at least, so definitely be doing that. But and then I might be doing something in uh Virginia as well. I haven't heard back yet, but I want to figure out more.
Um, for me, it's just local. I'm a part of the Tacoma Phi. I'm kind of fortunate because over here in Washington, we have a lot of different types of real estate groups. So I just kind of go around, kind of like Curtis does.
Yeah, I think Lindsay, I know Jim that was at the event is going to the shoots. I forgot the name of it. The one in Fresno, the one that Zuber's going to be at, the Jason Pritchard event. I think that's coming
Oh,
up soon, but they're going to be at that.
champs. Yeah.
Yeah. Deal
Yeah.
champs, I think.
Yeah. Deal champs.
I
Yeah.
think there's some people from the community going to that, and I think I know. I mean, we have events in Hawaii and stuff, but I think that's what I miss too about being on the mainland or whatnot. I think there's just more opportunities there, and I don't know. But I think I'd also get myself into trouble. So I don't know. But 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 I think I'd have a lot more fun. They should all wear Crocs. Who should all
Yes.
wear Crocs? The ladies during the interview? Oh, the
Oh,
special
the
the speakers, the
speakers.
speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I went deep into it. So you can actually make custom Crocs on their website and everything, and gibbets, and they'll do custom colors and everything. I'm like, I might be doing this for next year, but it's a minimum of 6 Crocs. So
You know,
Gotta have skull.
I'll be more prepared because like I told I couldn't wear the Crocs the entire time because I wear like 'cause I don't usually wear socks with Crocs,
Right.
so it was
Yeah.
actually hurting my toes in Vegas because it was like almost like it was too tight now, and I was having socks wearing socks and the Crocs. I'm like, and then when someone spills Gatorade on your feet, then you know, and then runs away and doesn't clean it up.
I did not run away. I went to go grab some towels. My gosh.
You did you
And
did not go grab towels.
this guy's a troll,
Did you,
bro. Don't
was the towels outside?
don't trust anybody who wears Crocs, bro.
Uh, hold on. There's a lot of stuff coming through now. Yeah, Jim's here. So Jim says deal champs. Jim, I'm not sure. Did you check out John's Airbnb? Was he able to were you able to book through his Airbnb? Was it open the time you were going? Yeah, Joe's. Um, says Katie and Jen are trying to do a meetups here in the Bay Area. Yeah,
Nice.
would be cool to do more ORAT meetups before next year's event. And Lindsay's
Yeah.
down for that. Oh, instead of shirts, ORAT Crocs.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's.
saying.
But he said that's a horrible idea. I want it cleared. I was joking.
I'm all for it. I will do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bounce off the camera for a few minutes. I'm just gonna wake my son up so you two can talk about whatever you want or hold down the fort real
Yeah.
quick.
You know what I'm kind of curious about, Harrison, is,
Sure.
you do out of state investing,
Yeah.
right? Could you kind of elaborate, because like this is my first out of state investment, right? And I know the struggles that I faced, and I would just kind of like bounce ideas off each other here. How has it been doing out of state investments for you?
It's been not as terrible as I thought it would be. It was one of those when I first started, uh, late, I guess, last year, early last year. I was doing a self management, and for the most part, I inherited both my tenants, and one has been fantastic. Only asks when problems are arising. The other one, it's hit or miss. But the hard part was the 4 a.m., 2 a.m. calls. Is like, hey, the heat's out. Get somebody out here. And thankfully, I had really good contacts in the area, so it's one of those where, yeah, I'll get someone out there, do the fees, fix that up. But it's just also, I think it's not as tangible as, like, say, your properties that are locally. But I mean, finishing up the first year, it hasn't been too bad. I definitely went with a property manager this time, as the months went on, because I just I knew I couldn't handle it in that way, just because of the need, like the need for rapid turnaround. That was the hardest part for me. Um, it can
I,
be done. Yeah. So, but
I did want to just answer. I'm in the Puyallup, Washington area, kind of Pierce County, for the person who was asking, Flavio.
5 yeah.
And Mark, we promised we didn't talk about you, but Joe, I'm gonna throw him under the bus there. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
I'm sure you guys did. Don't worry about it. I'll watch the recording later and I'll see what you fools said about me. Yeah.
But Harrison, like I feel like some of those issues that you were just saying, in regards to out of state investing, I think I got those jitters. It's like, oh my god, um, can I do this? Is this possible? But I did such a big rehab over there, and you think things are gonna go the way that you expect, and they don't, right?
Never,
and
ever.
and,
Yeah.
and then you get those calluses in your brain, and you get a little tougher, and you know out of state investing is definitely a lot harder for sure, like, and there's some adaptations that I'm having to go through, but I guess for me, I'm still trying to see, was it all worth it, right? Like
Right.
I'm still not there yet. So, just kind of hearing from you, when did you realize that, like, hey, you know what, that was worth the risk, or blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, so where it became worth the risk was, just knowing, I don't know, it was one of those where I realized that once I stepped back from saying I have to control this, I have to do this, and then have understanding the process, understanding the systems, and if it worked, it was like, oh, because it all of a sudden became a lot more hands off. I mean, I still manage my managers and everything, but for the day to day, it's all of a sudden it kind of went out that way, and that's where the superpower came in, because I know full rehabs doing everything like that, because I mean I had to replace the bathroom floor because it was so old and everything like that. You're just, yeah, and then I'm like waited on bated breath. It's like, was it fixed? Did it work? How did it go? Because I mean that was something that just gave me palpitations, like completely replacing the plumbing and everything. I was just like, oh my goodness, it's like just, you have that sitting up and like, did I pay too much, or did, but because I set up those systems, I set up those relationships with the plumbing crew and everything. They're like, yo, here's like they took videos, they took full documentation and everything. They spoke with me afterwards and they said, hey, this wasn't as bad as we thought. We fixed it. Looks beautiful. Tenant's happy, and then we just, I mean, that's where I felt like my big win happened, was understanding that it's not going to go. Yeah, it seldom ever goes the way it should, but also understanding it's like it wasn't as terrible as it could have been. And then on top of that, getting that thank you message from the tenant saying, "Hey, thank you so much. This was clutch." And it's like it's made my experience living here so much better. It's like that's where I get the reward from. And I mean, so that's what made it okay. It's like, okay. And then getting tax returns this year is like, oh, yeah. Yeah. This is like, especially for being my first rental, you're just like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. And so now it's made it easier going for the next property.
Nice. I hope to experience a lot of that same stuff. Like, I think the biggest thing for me was just the delegation and not being able to really supervise.
Yeah.
I've done renovations here locally, and I could still just drive over and go check it out.
Right.
But just trusting the people that you put in place, that's been totally new for me. And you've definitely had to vet them in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
by not by helicopter momming in them, but like more like, okay, who's used this person? Is this gonna work, right?
Right.
And so, I'm definitely happy of the skill set that I've built. Um, and I definitely wouldn't take that back. But yeah, I think I'm just kind of waiting for that reward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I give it 3 to 6 months. By that month 3, you'll be like, okay, I'm still here. It's kind of like what Dion says is like, plan for 5 years, invest. So that's the thing. It's like 3 months, 6 months, and then it kind of just it gets better. It's like you said, you're building that the calluses, you're building the toughness into it, and then all of a sudden, oh, I did it. I'm here. So, yeah. But
Thanks for sharing
just
that.
be sure to breathe. That's the biggest thing, is that you're gonna hold your breath, saying, "Oh, it's out there. I don't know." It's like, did it catch on fire? It's like you're watching the weather, stuff like that. So,
Would
yeah,
you say, just out of curiosity, right?
yeah.
Like you and I experiencing our first out of state investment. Would you say you'd recommend it to somebody brand new, kind of getting it started?
Well, I mean, I was brand new, so I
Okay.
just went. But I mean, it's one of those, is you have to understand your risk tolerance. I would say I'm not risk. I would fall in the middle of risk tolerant. It's like I see the value of it, so I'm going to go that way. If you're in that mode and you've done your homework, and then you have a team out there that you can trust all day, every day, I think that's something I would really recommend.
Yeah. Cool.
Great
Thanks for sharing.
breakdown. Yeah, great breakdown, Harrison. I think Ray, you already answered Flavio's question about what part of Washington are you in. Jovi just said, yeah, Max is that way somewhere. So, but Max and Ray did connect in Vegas. So, yeah, I don't know how close is he to you, actually, Ray. Do you know
Max. I don't quite remember. I'd have to reconnect with him.
the kind of locks, the nice little locks on his
Yeah,
hand?
he's Oregon.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
or
go
yeah.
ahead.
He's Oregon, so um,
Uh, and let's see. Oh, Lindsay has a question. Says, I have a question for Mark. When is he going to see his? I don't know. It's not a big deal to me. I think at this point now, it's kind of like when I'll make it more like an event in a sense. Uh, I probably wouldn't just go to Pittsburgh, or if I did go to Pittsburgh, it would be where I would try to spend a long time there, or maybe like 4 to 6 weeks, and not necessarily. I mean, I'll probably see my properties, but it's more to try and talk to the banks or the small banks and the community banks in that area and network with people. I mean, I already know quite a good amount of people there, but it's just more building on that and talking to the banks. Because I mean, at the end of the day, what am I really going to do now if I look at my property and I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Right? I mean, it's done. It's done. It's what 4 or 5 years into it now, right? So at this point, it's kind of like, kind of just got to roll with it, and yeah, I mean, I might have a better idea what the next step is, whether I'll 1031 out or just sell it. But they're all cash flowing. Tenants in place, well, except for one, but supposedly it's going to get leased up today. But
nice.
other than that, it's kind of I'm at a point where it's like, not much I can do now. I mean, I might go take a look to where how I would maybe want more information on the next properties. What other questions I could ask, right? So, from what my initial, right now I probably have an idea of what I bought. Now, if I actually go see it, then I'm gonna okay, these are the type of things or better questions I could have had or presented, right? So, yeah. But as far as necessity, yeah, I'm not too. That's just my personality, though. But for me, going to Pittsburgh would be for other reasons, as far as talking to the banks and trying to figure out how I could get that equity from those properties that are in Pittsburgh. So that would be more what I would go for. Jim says everything makes you better, no matter how hard it is. And Dion Wannabe's here. Hey, morning. Hello. Yeah. Good. Aloha. So thanks for always tuning in, man. Or yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna be trying to set up so Jen, Lindsay, be on the lookout. They want an all-female panel perspective. They said there's too much
Nice.
testosterone up here and too much male perspective, so they want a little different view. And I'm down for that. It's just like I said, it's just hard. It's hard because it's just typical that not as many females want to get on camera and talk live about it. But there's more people now, so maybe Sarah's willing to come on and whatnot. Sierra's going to start doing more. She said she's a little more freed up now, so she'll be on a lot. I'll be on Wednesday with her and Jack, so that'll be a fun one. Sierra's always a
Nice.
great insight. But so yeah, I don't know. Anything else you guys want to wrap things up with? What you got planned for the week? Monday is the Monday accountability group. So what can we hold you to accountable for this week, Phil?
Ooh,
By the next
I
time
guess.
I have you guys on a live, what can we check in on what you guys accomplished?
Hmm.
Um, well, just yesterday, Curtis, PE turned RE. Curtis and I met up with one of our group members at the Tacoma Fi. His name is Kent Dimmel. Kent just recently purchased his triplex that I think Dion kind of helped him out with, and we went over there and we checked it out. He kind of showed us his project. We ended up creating a cool video of his property. So my, I guess, accountability is to get that all edited so Curtis and I can have a video to kind of share with the community.
Nice.
Awesome. Does Tacoma Fi have its own YouTube channel? I don't know.
No, I like for me, I don't really do YouTube, so I'm just gonna always post it on my Facebook and keep annoying my friends and family like I do, and then Curtis, he has PE turned RE, so I'm sure it'll be on his YouTube channel.
Cool. Just letting
Nice.
everyone know, John Litz, that was on the live with us Saturday. He did a video, like we said, of his Airbnb, like walking through. So he's going to be posting that soon, so you guys can see all the cool stuff on the walls, the wolf howling at the moon, and I don't know. I forget what else. The eagle. There's the eagle room, the bear room. I don't know.
Nice.
Let's see. Before I answer John's question, what are we going to hold you accountable, Harrison?
Sure. Yeah. Since the event, I'm trying to post every Saturday something. So on my YouTube channel, that's been one of those things of just being accountable for it, trying to just put something out there, thoughts, process. Is it good? Maybe, but it's fun. So I'm just learning that, like, how to put myself out there more about talking about real estate.
Uh,
Ray, did you see Flavio's question? So, Ray, have you checked the area by Moses Lake or the Yakima area?
yep. Yeah. Yes. I'm familiar with both of those areas. Um, unfortunately, right now, I think I'm just more focused on getting my fourth property all stabilized and making cash after I put all that money into it. But and then also, I feel like this year I kind of want to kick back a little bit. In the last 4 years, I bought three properties, and I think it's a little bit. I need a break. You know what I'm saying?
Don't blame you.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna kind of kick back this year and maybe get back at it after this year.
Yeah, I think Flavio, I think you have mentioned it, but what area are you in again? Can you refresh my memory? But John, Late Star Wealth asking, knowing what I know now, how fast would you acquire properties if you had a new influx of cash to get more? How would you space them out? Well, I think that kind of depends. Say, well, when you say what I know now, so are you saying at the beginning, like I have this knowledge, but I don't have any properties, or I'm at a point now I have 10 properties and I have a new influx of cash. So I kind of think it depends where you're at, and I think it really just comes down to really how much reserves you actually have, right? And kind of having a better understanding of how much reserves you need per property. If I was to, like, right now, if I had, let's say, just say 10 properties right now cash flowing, and I had a good amount of reserves, let's say, even just 30K or 50K, that I could put into some major expenses that come up. Yeah, I mean, I'd be comfortable getting, one or two properties a year, you know, easily, right? 'Cause especially if I had 10 leased properties that are already cash flowing, things like that. So I think it just depends. For me, it was more where the reserves that I thought I had wasn't. 10 properties or so vacant at one time, or trying to lease at one time, I guess you would say. And, in a sense, they're kind of competing against each other too, if
Right.
some are in the same zip code, right? So now, 10 properties trying to get leased at the same time in the winter months. So yeah, it was just kind of not the most strategic way to do things, and definitely a learning process. But I think it just depends on what your portfolio kind of looks like. But I could easily see, like if you're starting off and you have, a cash influx and whatnot. Yeah, I would definitely just go one at a time in the beginning, because I think, becoming a landlord is really that how what you have to get comfortable with too, right? So I think
Yeah.
a lot of people, that's what they struggle with. And I see a lot of people where, they get a property and they're wondering why it doesn't, so like in Hawaii, properties don't sit on the market very long when you're leasing them. They're gone in like a week. So when you put properties like in Pittsburgh and they're sitting for, a few weeks, people are like, what, they start panicking, what's going on? Should I change property managers, or should I, and it's like, oh, slow down, so that's, it's also just understanding your market, and certain times of the year it takes a lot longer. But I do see people where, getting the property is one thing, but then now, trying to lease it, and they're panicking, like, oh man, how come it's not how come it's not listed in 2 days? How come they haven't put it on Zillow yet? Or how come I don't see it? And all these things. So I think that's the one thing for me is, definitely start slower,
Right.
and get your feet wet, and build your connections, and kind of do it that way, and then, build on that. Let's see. Oh, Flavio. Yeah, I live in the Yakima area. Katie's tuning in now. Katie and Rusty. Yeah.
Oh,
Seattle.
hey. Hi, guys. I want to say hi to Katie and Rusty.
Yeah, so Katie's the one. We'll get Katie on an all female panel, and I'll just sit back and let them talk. Yeah. John says yes, knowledge, no property. Yeah, yeah, John, man, I really think it's the reserves, knowing your market. But yeah, I think I think if you have a good 30 to 50K, reserves, you know, you could handle one or two properties quickly. I think that's a good part. Hey, Ray and Harrison, yeah. But
This kind of brings up a topic, Mark. I think this might be a good one. What are your thoughts on FOMO? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, we see so many of our other investor peers. Oh, I just closed like 100 units, and you look at your portfolio and you're just like foaming out of the mouth, thinking like, oh my god, how do I get 1,000 units? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this is. What do you guys think about it? Talking about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely go on that one. Curtis and I were talking about that at the event. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, yo, these people are rich. It's like, but at the same time, it was we had to sit back and think, hey, they started somewhere just like us. It's like they had a beginning of their journey. They're way farther into their journey than we are. So, if anything, for me, it was more exciting. It's like, hey, this is what I could be. I'm not, who cares? I'm surviving on this one right now. Hopefully, two for this year. I think that's how I was able to. We were able to talk it through. It's like, you know what? Good for them. I'm happy for them. I can't. I'm not gonna go knee deep into like my next 10 properties in 1 year.
Yeah.
well, I hear baby. So Harrison, if you do
Yeah.
have to jump, you can always jump off, man. It's always fun having you,
All right.
and
Yeah.
we'll get you back on another time. But if you have to bounce, you can bounce, man.
All right. Thanks. I think I got a minute. So
Okay,
yeah.
well, like I said,
Yeah.
whenever you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
hop
Yeah.
off, man.
All right.
Yeah. For me, yeah, I think everyone goes through it, and you just got to figure out your avatar, right? I mean, I think when you first get started, for most people, it's like, and I think that's what fooled me too, right? The first couple, maybe are a little bit easier, and then you're just like, oh man, I need 100, or I need, you know, $50 or $100, and it's so easy to obtain, and no money down, and you got all this creative finance and seller finance and all, sub two and all these things, and it's, mobile home parks and all these things, and it's just like, there's a lot of opportunities out there, but then at the same time, it's kind of, you just got to figure out who you are, right? And I think that's what's great about Dion, Coach Carson, and you look at all of them too, right? They've all done it in different ways, right? Zuber, Lumberjack, even Brian Adamson. Everyone has done it their own way. They all have different goals in it, but they're all comfortable in their own skin and who they are, right? And Dion is not trying to be like Lumberjack, and you see Millennial Mike has different goals, and Dion and him are buddies, but you can definitely tell Millennial Mike has bigger goals than Dion, and it could change now that he has a girlfriend and everything, and maybe his priorities are changing, but it really just depends on your avatar, right, and what you're comfortable with, and after a while you start realizing like, okay, what's the difference with really what's the difference between 15 properties and 25 properties? And yeah, it's a little bit more, but how much more work is it? I could be traveling, right? So I think it's just getting to, but you got to know what you're comfortable with, right? And some people, it's not so much how much properties, it's the fun in finding the properties and making the deals and hustling. So everyone is different, right? And like I always kind of joke about, I mean, I like real estate, but I don't like love real estate. I love talking to you guys and having fun, but it's there's some people out there that every day they're love analyzing properties and breaking it down and running the numbers, and that's, I mean, that's me to some extent, but not to the like Mikey. I told Mikey, like, yeah, man. A lot of times I'm just waiting for the agent to just send me whatever off market stuff he has, right? And then I'll look at that. And Mikey's like, yeah, I was thinking about that. Saves me a lot of effort. I'm like, you would go crazy because you just like looking at stuff every day, right? You just like running numbers. And he's like, yeah, I think so. So everyone is different, right? You just gotta figure out what works best for you. So what about you, Ray? Has things changed for you since when you got started? You think?
I definitely let I guess other people's goals kind of affect my goals. You know what I mean? I think my peers being around people who've got so many units or flipping so many properties, it makes me feel sometimes that maybe I'm not as successful. And me being a very competitive person, you know, I kind of spearheaded it. And I realized that it created like unnecessary stress in my life that I was kind of self inflicting. You know what I mean? And I'm more to the point now is like, I'm comfortable with what I have right now, and I'm more comfortable of maybe going at a slower pace, but like just kind of like getting back in track on how I want to do things and how I want to balance my life. So yeah, I think I let it impact me too much. I think I FOMO'd in, and it's not a bad thing. I got great properties to show for it, but I don't think it's going to be healthy to keep moving at that pace that I don't really want to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, like you said, people sometimes are comparing themselves to others, and I don't recall if we touched on it on the interview that we had. So that anyone go check out our Ray's interview dropped today on my channel. But I don't know if we talked about it too much. But even like yourself, maybe like you said, having that struggles early in life, or even that relationship with your adopted parents, and you always felt like you have to prove yourself. You said, right? So I think maybe that's where, like you're saying, like you feel like you were comparing yourself to others and things like that. And I think that's something like I think for me, it's just I think I talked about it with Dion on his live one time or his channel. I think I have like a weird, humble cockiness or humble confidence to myself where I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone, but I'm confident as fuck, I guess. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to like, I'm humble, but I'm just confident, I guess. So I'm not trying to compare myself to anyone. And I think that's, like I said, that's just my personality. Lars, phone interview. Oh, in
Go
45
for it,
minutes.
man.
Oh, cool, Lars.
Congrats, Lars.
Yeah, message me which one are you looking at, or which one try send it to me. I'll take a look if that's the one you're talking about most recently. Cool, man. Yeah, so Lars, I think I mentioned Lars. I said Harrison. Did I mention
Yeah.
Lars?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
mentioned Lars.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lars is pivoting also to Pittsburgh, and yeah, Lars Harrison said he's probably he can see himself within a few weeks probably putting in an offer. Let's see. Curtis is here. All right, finally tuning into my channel. Let's see. Katie says, "Great point, Ray. Could get in over your head quickly." Uh, yeah. See, that's your superpower, man. See,
Yeah.
not a bad thing. First response. I
Exactly.
agree. I agree. Well, I agree for like firefighters are much more humble than police officers, but
Oh God.
Oh. Yeah, but no, I agree. It's one of those. It's like that's the thing about Mark. I've always noticed is that he just goes in confidence. It's like, I mean, you have to as a firefighter. So
Yeah.
late start Welt says, "How often do you each check your buy box?"
every day, 20 minutes to 45.
For me now, I'm more watching like RVs on YouTube and where I'm gonna go. I'm a lot like Mark at this point. I'm like, I've been working way too much. I'm gonna go chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Real estate's cool, and I'll go back in when I'm ready to buy another one. But yeah, I'm gonna watch some cool stuff on YouTube.
I look I look at Mikey's buy box every time he sends it. Mikey's like my keeps me competent with the market. said, Mikey, what are you
Nice.
doing right now? What are you looking at? He sends me said, okay, cool. So at least
Cool.
that's how I stay up to date on what's going on. But yeah, I'm kind of in that Ray. I'm doing other stuff. I mean, I look at
Nice.
stuff now and then, but that's what I was saying too, like how I'm kind of like, man, the agent has more like off market stuff that I'd rather just like take a look at. And so it's kind of like I look at stuff, but a lot of times I'm just like, hey, what do you have?
Yeah.
What do you have on your list right now that might fit what I'm looking at? And it just makes things easier. But I know Mikey's always looking at properties, and even Lars now, and even Harrison. And so I'm
Yep.
just like, hey, what are you guys looking at? What is this?
Yep.
And then that's kind of how I cheat sheet looking at my buy box in a sense.
Yeah. Well, it
Can
helps
I?
because we all realized we were looking at the same property. It's like, oh, I'm not
That
bidding against
yeah.
Lars.
How do you guys feel about that? Like, just like truly, like, when we all get obsessive, right? Like, I think a lot of us are the same. We start consuming all this content. Like, at a certain point, I think like everything on my YouTube feed was like real estate, the market, stocks, crypto. Like, oh my god! Like, literally every time I woke up, it was just like that was what I was consuming, and
Yep.
it was a bit much, you know what I'm saying? Like being on that for so long. So that's why like I feel like I'm a little burnt out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I fully understand. I actually had to put stuff away. So crypto, I put that out. That is off the table for a bit for me. Stocks, like I basically sold out of my entire portfolio back in December when it was at its height. It's like, all right, I'm gonna take a break. Let the market do its thing, let it breathe. And so that's yeah, kind of going down. Now it's just AI and real estate for me. That's all I do. Because yeah, I need to watch something funny once in a while. I need my Mr. Bean. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, Ray, I think Curtis is calling you out.
Yeah.
He
What's he
says
calling me out?
He says go chill. He said yesterday you talking about getting into flips and stuff.
Oh snap.
Yes, but after I did tell him, ask him, not this year. I told him that this is my year to chill.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I was thinking about it last night too. I don't know. I'm I don't know. I might only have like one more year in the fire department. I'm thinking.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, a lot depends on my parent,
Yeah.
my dad. But my dad is slowing down quite a bit, and I'm just like, we'll see. But we'll see how that goes. But even someone else was telling me, another guy that he invests, he went through a divorce, so he lost a lot of his stuff, and he's trying to get back. But he's in the fire department. He was messed. He was like, yeah. He goes, most people in our department don't realize it. I get. I'm sure there's probably different things about it, but so a lot of guys they worry about hitting their 25 years for their pension, but also that's when um, they get the full medical for life.
Mhm.
If they got in at a certain time and they qualify for that retirement plan. But a lot of guys, I guess, they don't look into it. But supposedly at 15 years, you can pretty much get 100%. Like it's
Nice.
at 15 years you get 75% medical, but that 75% medical can pretty much be 100% plan. It just depends what plan you go on. So the other guy was like, yeah, I'm going to be out in 15 years too, he said. um, yeah, but my only thing would be if I got out early, I'd have to wait till 55 years old to collect that medical. So
Ooh.
I'd have to figure something out for like 5 years. um, but that's where EXP would come in also, because EXP has you can get medical through EXP. But
Oh nice.
I kind of looked at it. It would be like, I mean, I could have just an estimate quote thing was like 900 a month, I think, for the medical. I think for me and my son, maybe.
That's not
Yeah,
bad.
I think that's what
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think the real question is, Mark, what you gonna do with all that spare time? That's the how we need to look at it. Screw the
Yes,
medical, bro.
exactly.
You're
spare
healthy.
spare time. What do you mean, man? My days off are driving my parents around, going to Costco, freaking yeah.
Nice.
Yesterday was spent all day at the flag football field because they won the first game, so they had to wait, and then they played a second game, so now they play in the championship next Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was my day yesterday.
It's
And then,
awesome.
but yeah, this was a fun one. I guess we'll wrap it up here. Katie, if you are still here, I'll message you. We'll try to figure something out, figure out who we can get on for the all-female panel. Yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's always fun. Always fun. Yeah, like not always talking about real estate, I guess, right? Just shooting the shit, and
Yeah.
hopefully, like I said, I try to come in with at least one topic, and then wherever the discussion takes us from there. But thanks for doing this, you guys, and everyone. Hopefully, your clocks are all set, and you guys are all set to go from here on out.